Today's podcast is brought to you by Inverted Gear. For all your jiu-jitsu needs, go to invertedgear.com. Save 15% off if you type in the coupon code ShowTheArt15 with no spaces. Our next sponsor is Chimera Coffee. That's Chimera Coffee with a K. They are a coffee brand that infuse their coffee with nootropics. If you don't know what nootropics are, Google it. They can do a much better job at explaining it than I can. Go to chimeracoffee.com, type in the coupon code ShowTheArt for a nice little discount. Enjoy. Today's guest, we have Jon Thomas from Tap Cancer Out. Jon, how are you? Thanks for coming on. You're the founder of Tap Cancer Out. How's everything going, man?
Everything is going really well. Thank you for having me. Of course, I've been an admirer of Show the Art for a while now.
Thank you.
Guys, absolutely kill it on Instagram. I'm super jealous. But I love all the stuff that you've been doing. So I'm sort of fanboying a little bit to be on Show the Art podcast finally.
Thanks, man. That means a lot. It's funny because we just do things and we don't think about who watches us or who listens to us. I honestly always assume that no one cares what I do and no one cares about the answer. Just to not get a sense of ego, I just assume no one listens and no one cares. All 58K followers on Instagram don't care about us. You know what I'm saying?
No, they certainly do, because you can tell you put a ton of effort into it, and actually sitting down and editing and putting, slowing down these videos and pointing out it's just and all sharing the community stuff is very cool as well. So
thank you, man. We found that that's always been one of the important things to do, and that's share. We're about jiu-jitsu. We're not about being movie stars, and it's about sharing and getting everybody involved. It's fun when people send us videos and then we don't tell them anything. We just repost it, or we include it in our system, and they get really excited from it. That's the best part, honestly.
Definitely.
Let's steer towards your direction. How did you start your company? What was the inspiration behind getting this movement going? And what was the first platform you started with? Was it the tournament style, or was it something else?
So Tap Cancer Out, the idea for Tap Cancer Out sort of came to me, I suppose, in 2010. So I remember the moment it came to me. I was in California, in San Diego specifically, at an awards show called the Classy Awards that was specifically celebrating nonprofits and volunteers and philanthropic businesses, hosted by classy.org, which is a nonprofit fundraising platform. And it happened to be started by one of my very close friends. So I was out there just to hang out and support him and, hang out at the after party. And, it was a black tie affair, and it was really cool, or black tie optional.
Nice.
But we all got to dress up, and I was super excited. And then you hear all of these incredible stories of the sacrifice that people make, and, leaving lucrative careers to build schools, and veterans finding purpose by visiting areas hit by natural disasters and all sorts of things. And I sort of looked at myself and asked myself, what was I really doing to make this world a better place? Why am I even sitting in these seats right now? And I didn't have a good answer. I wasn't really doing anything, maybe the occasional donation here or there, but I was not making this world a better place. So I decided at that moment I wanted to do something. At the time, I had been training jiu-jitsu for 3 years. I was a blue belt, really passionate about jiu-jitsu, obviously still passionate about it now. So
I hope so.
and passionate about finding a cure for cancer, or at least getting us closer in my lifetime. Been in touch with cancer on a number of occasions within my family and friends. And so I knew that was sort of a cause that I wanted to address. So I just said, I'll combine jiu-jitsu and finding a cure for cancer, and I'll call it Tap Cancer Out. And that was it. There was no actual idea behind how we were going to do that. Had no business plan or anything. I was just this, I'm going to figure it out. I'm just going to figure it out. So we had a lot of stops and starts. We eventually, years later, in 2012, landed on the concept of hosting fundraising tournaments. And we had in the spring of 2012 had our first Tap Cancer Out BJJ Open, and the competitors were encouraged to fundraise for our beneficiary. That was the Leukemia Lymphoma Society at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if they fundraise a certain amount, they got to compete for free, which I knew would resonate really well, with the jiu-jitsu community, because tournaments can be quite cost prohibitive, especially if you like to compete often. So
sure, absolutely.
So they could compete for free, and the more they raised, the more stuff they got from Tap Cancer Out, like t-shirts and rash guards and gis and stuff from our other sponsors as well.
Like incentives.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't have to fundraise if you don't want to. You can just pay the entry fee and compete, and that's cool too. And all of that helps. And so it supports our nonprofit and allows us to function.
Yeah.
But we try to pass through as much of that as possible to our beneficiary as well. So we had our first tournament in 2012, and we just had our fifth spring tournament. So, fifth, and our 10th tournament overall. So,
nice, man.
We've raised and donated $325,000 so far to 3 different beneficiaries: Leukemia Lymphoma Society, St. Baldrick's Foundation, and that has all been donated to those 2, and we're supporting the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network these next 2 years. So, and hopefully we'll be hitting the $500,000 donated mark by the end of this year. So
I'm sure you will, man.
It's been a wild ride.
How do you select what organization you're going to give your money that you've raised to?
So the first beneficiary, the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, was simply near and dear to my heart.
Okay.
My nephew passed away from leukemia when he was 9 months old, and so I knew that they're the ones I wanted to support first. And it actually took a while to get through to them. We hadn't hosted a tournament. I didn't really know how I was going to get them any support, but I just knew I wanted to support them. And so it took a lot of phone calls and emails, and finally finding the right person to talk to, and they threw their support behind us, and
nice.
We started hosting tournaments for them, and we were able to raise in total over $100,000 for them.
Wow. How long did it take you to finally get your point across and get their support? A month? 2 months?
A few months.
Really?
A few months. Yeah. I mean, we still hadn't hosted a tournament. I didn't know how much we would even raise. I didn't know what it was going to be.
Okay.
There's a lot of misconceptions and misinformation about jiu-jitsu in general. It's
Sure.
still hard for us to find venues. Certain high schools and colleges will just say no thanks because they think we're going to drag a ring in there and have bloody knuckle fights.
Yeah.
And you guys have wrestling teams. It's very similar.
Yeah.
They'll have a karate tournament, no problem, with 5-year-olds kicking each other in the head.
Yeah.
But bringing jiu-jitsu in there, and it's no way.
The less aggressive of the
so it took a lot of education, but the Leukemia Lymphoma Society was very open to that.
Nice.
And St. Baldrick's actually came to us through a supporter, a very passionate Tap Cancer Out fan and St. Baldrick's supporter. I had a discussion with him about it, and he literally handed me over to St. Baldrick's director of partnerships, and she couldn't have been sweeter and more supportive of us. And so we worked with them, and they were awesome. They wrote about us all the time on their blog. Their CEO visited one of our tournaments and talked to the competitors, and so they were an amazing partner. And then this past early spring, maybe sort of towards the end of winter, in February, March timeframe, we went out on a search for our next beneficiary. This was a much longer process. We considered a number of different organizations all across the cancer spectrum, and we're really looking for a partner that was as enthusiastic about our partnership as we were. That were very responsive when we reached out to them, could clearly articulate how our funds were going to be put to use and would allow us to specifically dictate where it would go. Like with St. Baldrick's, we were able to choose. St. Baldrick's does primarily funding research. And so we're actually able to choose the four doctors, the 4 researchers that would receive our funding. And so I was able, and a lot of that was dictated on location because we had a Massachusetts tournament. So I chose a researcher in Boston. We had a San Diego tournament. So I chose a researcher from the University of California, San Diego. Yale researcher we funded, as well as a Johns Hopkins researcher we funded, which was a little more personal. But so people were actually, they're fundraising, but they're actually helping research that's happening in their backyard. And we had Dr. Wu, who was the researcher at the Children's Hospital of Boston. She came to our Danvers, Mass tournament and talked to the competitors there and explained what her research was actually accomplishing. And then out in San Diego, Dr. Sun Chu, she came and spoke to our San Diego competitors. So people are actually seeing, not only am I fundraising for Tap Cancer Route, and I can meet all the Tap Cancer Route team personally, we're all there, but I get to meet the researchers who they're funding in person as well and hear what they're doing. So that transparency and really showing the impact that they're having is really important to us, because I don't want people to think that they're just donating and then they have no idea where the money goes.
Sure.
We're very transparent about that and where it goes and how it supports Tap Cancer Out and how it helps us function as well, because it's not free to run a nonprofit. We have costs as well, but also, of course, how the majority of their fundraising is supporting research and other things now with our new partnership with Pancreatic Cancer Action Network.
Okay. And I was gonna ask about that, and you kind of covered it, but maybe go over it in simplest form for people that, like you said, that have this misconception about fundraisers and things like that, or are afraid that they don't know where their money is going. In simplest form, what happens? I donate my money. The organization that's fundraising, they bring it to an organization that is researching. That money goes to a very specific doctor to do research on developing cures. Is that in simplest form how it works?
Yes. That's specifically how it worked for St. Baldrick's.
Okay.
Every beneficiary organization is different, and they serve different things. So research is important, of course, but so is patient care, and so is awareness and advocacy. And, there's a lot of different ways to support the fight against cancer. So one of the things that intrigued me about Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, so pancreatic cancer is one of the most lethal types of cancer, some of the lowest survival rates there are. And one of the realities for a lot of people who are diagnosed with pancreatic cancer is that the traditional forms of cancer treatment, like chemo and radiation and things like that, they're already not going to work. Like you're already beyond that stage.
I see.
So a lot of pancreatic cancer patients have to find clinical trials. So trials for drugs and different treatments that are innovative and are on the cusp of sort of being widespread, but they're still in trial.
Uh-huh.
But many of these, have saved countless lives because someone was willing to be part of these trials. So that's a reality for a lot of pancreatic cancer patients because of the realities of that type of cancer. So one of the things we're doing with Pancreatic Cancer Action Network is helping them fund their efforts to help their patients find these clinical trials. So it's not like, oh, I have pancreatic cancer, I'm going to go to the clinical trials building. Like,
yeah.
They're all over the United States. There's very specific types of trials that treat very specific types of, pancreatic cancer in different stages. So if you're a patient, you need to find these, and you need to find them fast, and you need to get there fast.
Yeah.
Pancreatic Cancer Action Network has a whole department dedicated to that, and that department needs funding, and the patients need funding to actually get there. So part of our donation to them will go to help funding the clinical trials department and really help more patients get the vital access to clinical trials that they need. So that's something that very few people even know happens, when they understand research, we need to find new cures. I get that. But there's so many other things, even just this isn't necessarily what we're doing, but something like the Ronald McDonald House, which, children who are battling cancer can go there and live there, and their parents can live there for free. Because if you live in New Mexico and you need to go to Chicago for your child's treatment, like where are you going to live? How are you going to pay for all that? So like that's just a new way to look at that. So there's a lot of different ways. And so we're trying to have a broad effect on the fight against cancer. Jiu-jitsu doesn't discriminate. Any age, any gender, any body type, anyone can do jiu-jitsu. And that's the beauty of the sport, right? But cancer doesn't discriminate either. It can affect everybody. So we're trying to have a wide impact. That's why we're not just focusing on pediatric cancer or just focusing on breast cancer or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with any organizations who do, but that's just our approach to it. Sure. So that's why I wanted to change beneficiaries every 2 years. And we have a lot of supporters who come and are passionate about certain organizations, cancer fighting organizations. So I want to support them as well. So that's how we do that.
Nice, man. And shedding light on all that and being very specific on what these companies do really makes a difference from someone like me who's just a regular guy who doesn't know the ins and outs and the behind the scenes things of how these fundraisers work. It really makes me a lot more willing to donate. You know what I'm saying? Because now I get it. Like, oh, okay, these are all the possibilities that can happen with fundraising, and these are all the directions that money can go. It's not like you're putting a label on the specifics instead of just saying, hey, you're raising funds to donate to cancer, to the cure of cancer. Like that is terrible, or that's very good. But when you're very specific with it, I hope that this makes a lot more people that are listening to our podcast realize, oh, okay, that makes it a lot easier for me to donate money.
Yeah, and the great thing is we're doing all of this on behalf of and because of the jiu-jitsu community. So we can say, like, look, this is the tangible impact that the jiu-jitsu community is having on the fight against cancer. Like, we are a community full of amazing people and, husbands and fathers and mothers and sisters. And, we all have families. We all care, about each other. And it's an incredible community. It's a kinship between, people who train jiu-jitsu. And I saw amazing sportsmanship in this sport, more so than any other sport I played. And I played a bunch. Yeah. I played it all. So, I wanted to show people that, whatever you think of jiu-jitsu is probably wrong. Like this is an amazing community, and we can create change and we can make a real difference in the world. And we've gone out and done that. And when I say we, I mean the whole jiu-jitsu community, sure. Not just us. We lay the mats out, the ones who fight. They're the ones who fundraise. Yeah. They're the ones who get out there and spread the word and do amazing things. And just the countless stories that I've heard of, people training jiu-jitsu who have just gotten over cancer, or, we had a competitor whose father skipped his chemo to come to his tournament. And, the reality would be that it was the last time he ever got to see his son compete. And, husbands fighting for their wives that, they lost to cancer, and winning gold and crying on the mat. It's like really overwhelming and powerful. And, I'm really happy that we've been able to give the jiu-jitsu community, a vehicle to fight cancer, through the sport that they love.
Sure. Just hearing these stories give me goosebumps. It's very powerful. I was going to ask, when people say we're raising money, that's one thing. But when people say we're raising awareness, how do you raise awareness very specifically for cancer research? How would you say you raise awareness? Because it feels like there's a difference between raising awareness and raising money.
Yeah. So one of the best examples is that, and it's even within the jiu-jitsu community, I want to raise awareness of certain things like pancreatic cancer. Not a lot of people understand what it is and how many people it affects. And so just by supporting the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, we're raising awareness of pancreatic cancer and what it means and, what their survival rate is, which is currently in the single digits. And so just being able, and then the same thing with St. Baldrick's and pediatric cancer, and raising awareness about the fact that a lot of the times the drugs that are meant to kill the cancer end up killing the child because the child is too weak to just handle the treatment. So they'll be cancer free one day and then pass away not long after, and it's not from the cancer, it's from the drugs. That's something that a lot of people don't know.
Wow.
So we're raising awareness within the jiu-jitsu community of these different cancer causes and the realities of that. But then conversely, it allows, through fundraising for a Tap Cancer Out BJJ Open, it allows people to share their stories and how cancer has affected their lives. Our top fundraiser from our San Diego tournament this past year was a bone marrow donor, and he saved a young girl's life. And he had told very, very few people this story. And the Tap Cancer Out BJJ Open was a vehicle for him to finally share this story with his friends and family.
Wow.
And raise awareness for the importance of being bone marrow donors. And we often have tables set up for Be the Match, where you just swab your cheek and you're put into the database, and you may be a bone marrow match for someone who is in desperate need of life-saving bone marrow. So just being able to raise awareness of the different causes that we're supporting and the realities of those types of cancer, and also allowing our competitors to share their stories with their families and their friends and their communities. So, something that I can't personally reach. That raises awareness for Tap Cancer Out. It raises awareness for our causes. It raises awareness for the sport of jiu-jitsu. So, we've reached a lot of people, and that just, magnifies the effect that we can have.
Yeah. Now, we're running out of time, but I wanted to finish off with this. For people who have never been to your tournaments, which I have yet to been able to come to, I'd like to make, hopefully, the Philadelphia one.
Yeah. So, we've had a bunch of our tournaments in Connecticut. That's where, my wife and I live. So we've had 5 tournaments there now. And we're having our 4th Massachusetts tournament in Danvers, Mass, on August 27th. So that should be really fun. And I'm sure, I believe our goal is 75,000 for that tournament. And then, for the first time, we're going to be in the Philadelphia area, Downingtown, Pennsylvania, to be specific. And that will be October 22nd. It's at the United Sports Complex. And, we're always trying to branch out. We have sort of certain logistical realities of, we own 2,400 square feet of mats. They're awesome Dolomer mats, but we got to drive them, from our storage facility in Connecticut to wherever we go.
That must be so expensive.
I don't have a Mack truck to, bring it around. I don't have like a trailer or anything. So, we rent a U-Haul and we hop in there and we drive. So, 5-6 hours is probably the furthest we can go. So not that Philadelphia is that far, but we're excited to sort of head further south and, hit that South Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia area, and allow some of those, welcome all those people in the jiu-jitsu community down there to come and compete. So, we're spreading slowly. This is a part-time passion for everyone that's involved. We all have full-time jobs doing other things. So that's why we don't host, as many tournaments as the IBJJF or NAGA or anything, so, but we're growing slowly and surely. And we plan to add a 5th tournament date for 2017. So we'll be back in San Diego. We'll be back in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Philly, and we're going to add another one in 2017. That's to be announced, but we're working on it. We're getting close. But we're really excited to head down to Philadelphia. That should be really cool. And, our tournaments, one of our value propositions is the tournament experience. We invest money specifically into, the logistics of hosting a tournament, and we have Shannon from Mataleao. She comes down and they manage all of our brackets. And, she's done hundreds of tournaments. I'm no tournament organizer. I've only done 10 in my life. I don't think that qualifies me as like an expert tournament organizer.
Sure.
So we have people who have done this many, many times. We invest in great refs and great facilities, and we very much value how being on time. I'm a competitor too. I understand what sucks about certain tournaments, getting there and waiting 6 hours for your division to start, or not having any idea what mat you're on or where you're going, and warming up, cooling down, taking a nap, getting back up. Am I going? I just missed my division. Nobody called me. What the heck? So it's not like that at all. We have dozens and dozens of all volunteer staff who come to our events, and we have ring coordinators, and we have everything. I want to give you the best tournament experience possible, because that's what I want as a competitor as well. So I won't settle for anything less. So
awesome.
We very much value that experience as well. So, and being able to fundraise, it really makes the tournament a whole different experience for someone who is a competitor. No matter how much you raise, just making that effort and showing people that you're fighting for more than just yourself and more than just your team or your teammates out there. You're fighting for others. And this is really the only tournament that you can do that. And not just others, but you're fighting for those who are truly in the fight of their lives.
Yeah.
And, we all should cherish the fact that we get to go out there on the mats and battle, whether it's win or lose. There are other people who can't. And so we're fighting for them. And so it's a really special experience. It's, whether you're a white belt and it's your first tournament, or you're a black belt and it's, your 50th tournament. It's a really good experience. And so I'd love for everyone to come out and meet us and say hi and have a good time.
Awesome, man. I'd love to make it down soon. Like I said, it's just that Philadelphia one sounds like really close.
I think you can do it. Can do it.
It's like an hour, 15.
We've had people from Oklahoma drive up to our Connecticut tournament.
Yeah.
I think you can do it.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to make that Philadelphia one, though. It's in October, correct?
October 22nd.
For people who have never been to one of your tournaments, in so few words, what is the vibe like there?
I'm obviously biased, so I like the vibe. So I've never competed at the Worlds or even the Pans, but I've competed at the New York Opens and the Boston Opens and the BJJ Pro and some tournaments, people are taking it very, very seriously, and I take it very, very seriously, and I get nervous and all jacked up and ready and stuff. But it's a different vibe at a Tap Cancer Out tournament, and I stress this when I talk to everybody in the morning. You're not fighting for your medal here. We got medals. They're $4. If you want one really, really badly, I'll give one to you. Like that, that doesn't really, matter. There's no reason to be a poor sport or flip out on the referees or anything like that. People realize that they're there for a much bigger reason. There's no animosity. I believe there's less pressure. There's definitely people who are taking it seriously and want to win. And I get that. And I definitely want you to go out there and try your hardest and try to win and get up there in that podium and everything. But we're out there for a bigger cause, and everybody realizes that and respects that. So it's a very fun, chill environment, and we try to make it low stress by just making sure it's on time. You know where you're going. You don't have to stress out about all that stuff. You just get out there, compete, and eat some acai and just chill out. So it's really fun. I always have a great time, obviously, but I think it's a really cool environment. Again, even if it's your first one and you've never competed before, this is probably the best one, because you don't want to go to a tournament that's disorganized. And if it's your first one, you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. But even if black and brown belts compete for free, you can't beat that. So come out and get some free rolls if you're a black or a brown belt.
I gotta come now. I get to compete for free. Yeah.
Get out there, throw the gi on. It's gi only. But other than that,
my favorite.
Perfect. Well, now you have to.
Yeah.
Get out there. So So we really try to make it a great environment for everybody. So when they leave, it doesn't matter win or lose or whatever. That they know that they've accomplished something just by coming and joining us and making a difference.
Well, on that note, we got to go, but I really appreciate you coming on and shedding a lot of light on this whole fundraiser thing, and everything that you do is amazing, especially when I get to know more in depth about it. I hope that people listening, if anybody is listening, all 10 of you, I hope they maybe change their mind a little bit in the positive direction on donating to the cause, and specifically donating to your cause, and that's related to what we all love, and that's jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, for sure. And I think with fundraising, I'm not asking you to fundraise for Tap Cancer Out. I'm asking you to fundraise for you. How has cancer touched your lives? Because none of us have gone through life without cancer touching us in some way, whether it's in our immediate family or friends or, the father or mother of a friend or something. We all know someone who's been affected by cancer. So I want you to fundraise for your stories and customize your page and put up pictures and tell your story there. It's all about you. And that's what's important to me. I want everybody to be able to tell their story, because Tap Cancer Out has allowed me to tell my story about the friends and family that I've lost, and it helps keep them alive. Yeah. So, I encourage you.
How can people reach you?
Website's just tapcancerout.org. We're very active on Facebook and Instagram and a little bit of Twitter. So just find us Tap Cancer Out on all those channels as well. We're trying to up our Instagram game to show the art levels, but who knows? You can always reach out to me personally, Jon, Jon, at tapcancerout.org. Goes right to me. I've got no assistant. It's just me. So I'll respond to every email. So if you got any questions, you can reach out directly to me. And if you can't come to our tournament, we've got an online store. You can always support us that way. We've got gis, rash guards, shorts, T-shirts, patches, anything. So you can still represent Tap Cancer Out even if you're not around.
Awesome, man. Show the Art is happy to always support you guys, and we'll continue to do so. And please, if there's anything you want me to share or anything you want me to do, I'd love to do it. Just, you know how to reach me. Just don't Instagram me. There's too many likes and it'll go straight to the bottom. I won't even see it.
You're big timing me. Okay.
No. I turn off my notifications. Let's put it that way.
Oh, wow. Now you know you've made it.
Have I? Have I really made it?
I think so.
Yeah. But Jon, it's good to talk to you, and I hope to talk to you soon. And have a great day, man.
Pleasure, man.